Hi, today I want to talk about how students are finding math very difficult. And I think they're just not taught properly in elementary school, high school, or even college. They're taught that math is very complicated, that every problem involves advanced formulas, they're all different, and there's no easy way to go about it. You have to just memorize every formula and practice every question in the book. But the truth is, you don't really even math. A lot of things in elementary school, if you were just taught it properly, you could skip over all the problems in the book. You don't need to practice all this stuff if you just understood it better. When I was in elementary school and high school, I was very good at math. Um, I never did any homework. I think I got 100 in every test I ever took in those grades. I never even did one problem ever. Students I used to see in my classes were doing tons of homework problems, practicing constantly, getting tutors, and they didn't even do that well. Because I just listened in class and I understood what is the main point of the lesson. How could I even remember this for the test or even for next year or following years? How could I retain this information? I just thought, what is the main thing that I have to understand? How do I remember this? So an example would be, let's say if you're learning binary numbers, like zeros and ones. So I understand with decimal numbers, the place values go 1, 10, 100, 1,000. So when the teacher is going over ones and zeros, so basically I understand it's 2 to the 0 power, 2 to the first power, 2 squared, 2 cubed. It's 1, 2, 4, 8. I see the difference that the place values are based off powers of 2, not powers of 10. So the same thing, you just count up how many you have in each place value. That's the difference. Now determine what number it is. So an example, if you have the number 111 in binary, means you have 1 1. You don't have 110, it's 1 2, $2 bill, and you have 1 $4 bill instead of a $100 bill. So you count up how much that is, and that's going to tell you how much money that number is worth. And it comes out to 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 7. So that number is worth $7, not $111, because each one is not 110 and 100. It's different. Or another example could be, let's say students are taught multiplication. Students a lot of times confuse multiplying numbers with adding numbers. But if you think about it properly, multiplying numbers, think of it as like a square. Let's say 8 times 8, or a grid. 8 times 8 means you have 8 rows and you have 7 columns. How many boxes can you fill up all together? You're making like that'll be a rectangle. 8 by 7 or something. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. Add it 7 times. That's what multiplication is. Also, squaring a number, 8 squared, is going to be the same thing, but it's going to be a square. It's going to be 8 by 8. It's going to be something like that. That's how you can think of what squaring a number is. Or let's say adding 8 plus 8 is very different than 8 times 8. Adding 8 plus 8 means you're adding 8 plus 8. That's it. That's 8 times 2. So adding is like you have 8, but you just have 2 rows, not 8 rows by 8. That's 16. 4 plus 7 is very different than 4 times 7. 4 times 7 is a rectangle, 4 this way, 7 the other way, a whole grid of numbers. 4 plus 7 is you have 4 dots, and then another row, 7 dots. That's it. So it's going to be comes out to like 11. Or all right, one more example. Let's say in subtraction, let's say a lot of times students have trouble with in algebra how you add fractions in algebra. They say, what do you do? Do you add the denominators? Do you multiply them? Do you add this cross multiply and add it? Like, how do you combine complex fractions and all these things. The way to do it is just to think simply. If teacher is taught better, what does adding fractions mean in general? Not go into tons of problems. What is the point of it? The point is, if you have two fractions, you can't add them together unless you have a common denominator. That is the point of it. The denominator is going to tell you how big the slices are in the pies. If the slices are the same, if they both have 6 slices each, if you have 3 slices and you have 2 the other, so you have a 3 of the 6, and the other pie has 2 slices out of 6. Then you can, together, if you add them together, you have 5 out of 6. But if they're different, like if you have 1/2 plus 1/3, one pie is 2, the other pie is 3, you can't add the slices you have. You can't have 2 slices because what size is it? The pies are different sizes. So the main point is you want to figure out 1 out of 2. Get them to both be out of 6. 2 and 3 will technically go both into 6. So 1/2 is the same as having 3 out of 6, and 1 out of 3 is the same as like eating 2 out of 6. So now you could add them together. So that's the main purpose of adding fractions. So you want to know what's the main purpose. Let's do another example. What could there be? Let's say probability, a more advanced topic. What is, when you're dealing with cards, deck of cards, what is the probability of something happen? What is the probability of some scenario happening in cards? Of like picking out two black kings out of a deck. A lot of times students think, what's the formula? Is it 2C3? Is it this? Is it P2 or whatever? 2P2. Students are just teachers just teach students to go straight. What's the formula for the problem? The way to do it is, I think, okay, what's going on? You want to get 2 kings out of a deck. Now, if you pick it 1 king and then you get another king, that's the same thing. You just pick 2 at a time. It doesn't matter. It's the same chance of getting 2 kings at the same time or 1 then 1. It's the same problem. So if you're doing 1 at a time, what's the chance? You want to break it down to simpler. What is the chance of getting 1 king? That's going to be the chance. How likely? How many kings are there? How many cards are there? And you get a chance. So there's 4 kings out of 52 cards. Okay, that's whatever. 4 out of 52. And what's the chance of getting another king? Okay, so a main principle of when you have a bunch of events occurring is you multiply. That tells you, the chance of 2 things happening at the same time. Okay, that's multiplication. So the chance of getting another king, okay, now there's only 3 kings left. When you get a king, there's only 3 more. So it's going to be 3, and there's also 51 cards left. It's not the same 4 out of 52 anymore. So the chances might be a little different for the second card. Okay, you multiply and you get your answer. You just want to understand, think about what is the main purpose of break down the question to simple terms. What is going on? And that's going to help you. Okay, thank you.